Welcome back to the deep dive. You know how much we love to explore new ideas, and today we're switching gears a bit for something we call Note Lab mode. It's where we take a deep dive into a nonfiction book that's caught our attention. And today we're diving into the world of quantum computers with Quantum Supremacy by Michio Kaku.
Yeah, Kaku really takes us on a wild ride with this one, exploring the potential of quantum computers to revolutionize so many fields. We're talking medicine, energy, space exploration. He even touches on the idea of immortality.
Okay, hold on. Immortality. Now that's a claim that's going to make people listen. So where does Kaku even begin with all of this? Quantum computers are pretty complex stuff.
He starts by laying the groundwork, addressing the limitations of our current computers. Moore's law, the idea that computing power doubles every 2 years, is hitting a wall. We're reaching the physical limits of how small we can make transistors, those tiny switches that power our electronics.
Right. We can't just keep shrinking things forever. At some point, you hit the atomic level and things get all quantum, and that throws a wrench in how our regular computers work.
Exactly. But here's the twist. Quantum computers actually use those quantum phenomena to their advantage. Instead of bits, which can be either a 0 or a 1, they use qubits. And qubits can be in a superposition, meaning they can be both 0 and 1 at the same time.
So it's like flipping a coin. It's both heads and tails until it lands. So these quantum computers can explore tons of possibilities at once, right?
Precisely. And then there's entanglement, where two qubits are linked. Knowing the state of one instantly tells you the state of the other, no matter how far apart they are.
Okay, so we're not talking about slightly faster laptops here. This is a whole other level of computing power. But what kind of problems can these quantum computers actually solve? Can you give me a concrete example?
Well, imagine simulating complex quantum systems like molecules. Classical computers struggle with this, but quantum computers could handle it with ease.
So we're talking about like a virtual lab where you could design new drugs or materials by simulating how they behave at the atomic level.
Exactly. It would be revolutionary for fields like medicine and material science.
That's incredible. It's like speeding up drug discovery by, seeing how different molecules interact within the body or designing new materials with specific properties.
Right. The possibilities are vast. But there's also a potential downside to this power. Kaku discusses how a quantum computer could crack the encryption that protects our online information.
Wait, so all of our banking, shopping, everything could be vulnerable?
It's a real concern. That's why researchers are already working on quantum-resistant encryption methods, things like quantum cryptography, which uses the principles of quantum mechanics to send messages that are theoretically unhackable.
It's like fighting fire with fire using quantum mechanics to protect ourselves from quantum computers.
Yeah.
So how far along are we in actually building these quantum computers? Are they still science fiction or are they becoming a reality?
Well, Google's Sycamore quantum computer actually achieved what's called quantum supremacy back in 2019. It outperformed a classical supercomputer on a specific task, which was a huge milestone.
So are we all going to have quantum computers on our desks soon?
Not quite yet. The challenge now is to build larger, more stable quantum computers that can tackle real-world problems. But there are a lot of different approaches being developed, like superconducting, trapped ion, photonic. It's a race to see which one will become the dominant technology.
It sounds like the Wild West of computing right now, with all these different pioneers vying for their place in history. What I find fascinating is that Kaku doesn't just focus on the technology itself. He explores how quantum computers could help us unravel some of the biggest mysteries, like the origin of life.
Absolutely. He talks about using quantum simulations to study those complex processes that led to the formation of amino acids, the building blocks of life.
It's like peering into the very dawn of life on Earth.
Yeah.
And it's just one example of how quantum computers could change our understanding of the world.
Exactly, and that's just the beginning. Kaku also delves into how this technology could revolutionize medicine. Imagine a future where we have personalized medicine tailored to your unique genetic makeup.
So instead of treatments that work for the average person, we could have therapies designed specifically for each of us.
That's the idea, and Kaku even discusses the potential to maybe even decipher the complexities of the immune system and potentially find cures for diseases like Alzheimer's.
Wow, that's a huge leap forward. Can you explain how that would even work?
Well, diseases like Alzheimer's are often linked to protein misfolding, where proteins don't fold into their proper shapes. And this can disrupt the brain's normal function. Imagine if quantum computers could simulate these protein folding processes and pinpoint exactly where things go wrong.
That would be an enormous breakthrough. I know we've made some progress with AI, like AlphaFold, but quantum computers could go much further.
Exactly. The potential is there to not only understand these diseases, but also to design therapies that address the root cause.
So we've gone from quantum computers helping us understand the origins of life to potentially curing some of the most challenging diseases we face. It seems like there's no limit to what these machines could do. What else does Kaku cover in the book?
There's so much more. Kaku takes us on a journey through how quantum computers could impact everything from fighting climate change to exploring the vast universe.
Now that you mention it, I'm curious how quantum computers would play a role in something like agriculture or climate change. It doesn't seem like an obvious connection.
Well, think about the Haber-Bosch process. It's used to produce fertilizer, but it's incredibly energy intensive and relies heavily on fossil fuels.
So we're using a ton of energy to create the food that gives us energy. That doesn't sound very sustainable.
Exactly. But quantum computers could potentially help us develop much more efficient methods for nitrogen fixation. The process of converting atmospheric nitrogen into a usable form for plants.
So imagine producing fertilizer with a fraction of the energy, potentially even without relying on fossil fuels. That would be a game changer, especially as we face the challenges of climate change.
And Kaku addresses that as well. He explores how quantum computers could revolutionize climate modeling, allowing for more accurate predictions about future climate scenarios.
So with better climate models, we could understand the challenges more precisely.
Right. And they could also help optimize renewable energy sources by designing efficient batteries for storing solar and wind energy.
So with better energy storage, we could rely more heavily on renewable sources.
Yeah,
It sounds like quantum computers could be a key tool in mitigating climate change.
absolutely. And he doesn't stop there. Kaku envisions quantum computers helping us track asteroids to safeguard our planet from potential impacts. He even talks about them revolutionizing astronomy by analyzing the massive amounts of data from space telescopes, leading to incredible new discoveries about the universe.
Okay, this is all pretty mind-blowing. But earlier you mentioned immortality. How does that even fit into the picture?
It's one of the most thought-provoking aspects of the book. Kaku explores the idea that quantum computers could unlock the secrets of aging at the molecular level.
So we're not just talking about treating age-related diseases, we're talking about hacking the aging process itself.
Exactly. Imagine understanding how to safely manipulate telomeres, the protective caps on our chromosomes, or optimize strategies like caloric restriction to significantly extend our lifespans.
And it gets even more intriguing. He delves into the concept of digital immortality, where we preserve our digital footprint, our memories, personalities, even consciousness in a digital form.
Right. We could essentially live on in a virtual world even after our physical bodies are gone.
Whoa, now that's stepping into some serious science fiction territory, digital consciousness, virtual worlds. It's hard to even grasp what that would be like. But let's back up a bit. You mentioned earlier that Kaku draws a connection between quantum computers and the Antikythera mechanism. Can you unpack that for me?
Sure. The Antikythera mechanism, as you know, was an incredibly complex astronomical calculator created by the ancient Greeks. Kaku uses it as a metaphor to highlight how our tools for understanding the universe have evolved over time.
So we've gone from mechanical models like the Antikythera mechanism to digital computers, and now we're on the verge of a quantum leap in our ability to simulate and understand the universe.
Precisely, Kaku draws a direct line from those early attempts to model the universe with gears and cogs to our current efforts with qubits and entanglement.
It's fascinating how he connects these seemingly disparate ideas across history. But how does Kaku address the idea of the universe itself being a quantum computer? That's a pretty heady concept.
He delves into the work of Alan Turing, the father of theoretical computer science, and how Turing essentially laid the foundation for understanding the limits of computation.
I remember learning about Turing, the man who cracked the Enigma code and came up with the Turing test. But how does his work relate to quantum computers?
Well, Kaku discusses how Turing's concept of the Turing machine, a theoretical model of a computer, can be extended to the quantum realm.
So it's not just about building faster computers, it's about fundamentally changing how we think about computation itself.
Right. This leads to the concept of a quantum Turing machine, a model that incorporates the principles of quantum mechanics.
But how does this all tie back to the idea of the universe as a quantum computer?
Kaku uses the concept of the quantum Turing machine to explore some of the most profound questions in physics, including Gödel's incompleteness theorem.
Now, that one rings a bell, but I can't quite recall what it is. It has something to do with the limitations of mathematical systems, right?
Exactly. Gödel's theorem demonstrated that even within a perfectly consistent mathematical system, there will always be true statements that cannot be proven within that system. It was a groundbreaking idea that shook the foundations of mathematics.
So even with a perfect set of rules, there will always be truths we can't reach using those rules. It's like a game with loopholes that you can never fully close.
That's a great analogy. And Kaku proposes a fascinating question. Could quantum computers, with their seemingly limitless potential, somehow circumvent Gödel's limitations? Could they access truths that are fundamentally inaccessible to classical computation?
Wow, that's a mind-bending thought. We're talking about using quantum computers to explore not just the physical universe, but the very limits of logic and knowledge itself. But let's be realistic for a moment. While the book paints a very optimistic picture of quantum computing, there must be some potential downsides as well, right? I mean, any technology this powerful could be misused.
You're absolutely right. It can't all be sunshine and roses, right? With great power comes great responsibility, and the potential for misuse is definitely there. Does Kaku address those concerns in the book?
He does. While quantum supremacy is filled with optimism about the potential benefits, Kaku acknowledges that there's a darker side to consider. We've talked about the cybersecurity threat from Shor's algorithm, but the potential for more advanced weaponry or incredibly invasive surveillance systems is also a concern.
Yeah, it's like a double-edged sword.
Exactly. The same technology that could cure diseases or solve climate change could also be used for destructive purposes. It all comes down to how we choose to use it.
Right. Kaku stresses the importance of ethical considerations and responsible development of quantum computing. We need to think carefully about the potential consequences and ensure this technology serves humanity's best interests.
So it's not just about advancing the science, it's about ensuring we use this knowledge wisely. But amidst all this talk of technological advancements, I'm curious about the human element. How do we, as individuals, navigate this rapidly changing world where technology is reshaping everything around us?
That's a question Kaku grapples with throughout the book. He recognizes that these technologies have the potential to disrupt our lives, our jobs, even our sense of identity. But he emphasizes the importance of adaptability and continuous learning.
It sounds like we can't just sit back and let technology dictate our future. We need to actively participate in shaping it.
Precisely, Kaku encourages us to embrace lifelong learning, be curious and open to new ideas, and develop the skills and mindsets needed to thrive in this era of rapid change.
So it's not about fearing the future, but equipping ourselves to navigate it with confidence and purpose.
Exactly. And it goes beyond individual adaptation. Kaku emphasizes the need for societal dialogue and ethical frameworks to guide these technologies' development and deployment.
So we need a balance of technological progress, ethical awareness, and societal responsibility. It's a tall order, but essential if we want a future where these advancements benefit all of humanity.
Absolutely. That's what makes quantum supremacy so compelling. It's not just a science book, it's a call to action, urging us to engage with these transformative technologies thoughtfully and proactively.
Well, after this deep dive, I'm definitely feeling inspired to learn more and think critically about these issues. It feels like we've covered so much ground, from the limitations of silicon to the mind-bending world of quantum mechanics and the potential for quantum computers to reshape our world.
It really highlights the breadth and depth of Kaku's book. It sparks curiosity, ignites the imagination, and challenges us to envision a future where the impossible becomes possible.
Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear some specific predictions Kaku makes about the future. What does he envision for a world transformed by quantum computing?
He paints a picture of personalized medicine tailored to your unique genetic makeup, designed with the help of quantum simulations.
No more one-size-fits-all treatments. That's amazing.
And imagine a world with abundant clean energy thanks to breakthroughs in fusion power and renewable energy technologies enabled by quantum computing.
A future free from energy scarcity. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
What about space exploration? Does he see quantum computers taking us beyond Earth?
He does. Kaku talks about quantum computers enabling us to design spacecraft capable of interstellar travel, perhaps even using exotic technologies like warp drives.
Warp drives. That sounds straight out of science fiction.
Yeah, but as far-fetched as they may seem, they are theoretically possible within the framework of general relativity.
So if we're talking about quantum computers cracking the code of the universe, I guess anything is possible.
Exactly. Kaku wants us to think big, to push beyond what we believe is possible. He argues that the future is not predetermined. We create it through our choices and actions.
So we're not just passive observers in this technological revolution. We're active participants in shaping the future. What a powerful thought.
And a powerful responsibility. It's up to us to make informed decisions, engage in crucial conversations, and ensure that these powerful technologies are used for the betterment of humanity. That's the core message of quantum supremacy, and I think it's something we all need to keep in mind.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into quantum supremacy, what's the one key takeaway you hope our listeners will walk away with?
The future is not something that happens to us, it's something we create. Quantum computing is a powerful tool, but like any tool, it can be used for good or ill. It's up to all of us to ensure that we use this technology wisely, ethically, and for the benefit of all humankind.
What a fantastic way to wrap things up. To our listeners, we encourage you to continue exploring these ideas, engage in these crucial conversations, and be active participants in shaping the quantum future that awaits us. Until next time, keep diving deep.